Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another fragrance review. Thank you so much for watching. Steven here from Rattlescence, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at a fragrance from the house of Lancome, and this fragrance is called Hypnose Homme. So here's the bottle. This is a very cool, very unique looking bottle. I love it. The perfumer behind this one is Maurice Roussel, and this fragrance was launched in 2007. Now, Maurice Roussel is one of the most prolific perfumers in the industry. He's done Jasmine 17 by Le Labo, he's done Muscov Azure by Frederic Malle, New Harlem by Bond No. 9, Rojas Man by Rojas, and even Be Delicious by DKNY. So he is a very well-established perfumer, has contributed to the industry in many, many different ways. Now, this fragrance is classified as an Oriental Fougere, and that's primarily because it contains the accord of amber. I also want to mention that there are several different versions of this fragrance on the market. There's a Cologne version, there's also an Eau Fraiche version. From what I've read, they smell very different from one another. So as a consumer, if you want to buy the original, make sure it has this presentation. Now this fragrance does follow the success of the women's version, so I'm going to let you know what I think of this fragrance. Next up, let's take a look at the presentation. So here's the box. You have the name of the fragrance, name of the company, pattern in the background, size and concentration down here at the bottom, UPC on the very bottom with the serial number located towards the middle engraved in the box, nothing going on at the sides, ingredients on the back, and then you have the Lancome logo or name engraved at the top, and that's it for the box. As far as the bottle goes, really cool looking bottle, kind of has like a spiral feel to it. I also like the other size to this as well, looks very nice. You have Hypnose written at the top here, sticker at the bottom with your information. The atomizer is really cool. I love these atomizers because you can control how much you want to spray. You can spray a little bit, or you can spray a lot. The distribution is amazing on this one. 10 out of 10 presentation. And that was the presentation for Hypnose Homme. So my good friend Carlos writes, I used to own this. Ask me if I remember it. Answer would be no. Ciro says, still have a bottle of this. Opening is a little weird, and the dry down isn't to die for. Mustafa thinks it smells okay, nothing new, longevity is about 4 hours, and the woman likes it. Malik finds this to be an amazing designer fragrance and that the ladies love it. Jamie agrees that Maurice Roussel did a good job with this fragrance. Stuart finds this to be a nice fragrance to him and it has a feminine touch, but it actually works well as a man's fragrance. And lastly, Chris concludes by saying it's a nice, sweet fragrance. Everyone who likes sweet fragrances should give this a try since it is very cheap. And P.S. the bottle is really cool looking. Now this fragrance is classified as an Oriental Fougere, and I would certainly have to agree with that. Now this is classified as an Oriental Fougere because it contains the accord of amber. And I certainly get a lot of ambery, resinous nuances in this fragrance, a little bit vanillic as well, but I think there are certain other things that are contributing to the sweetness. I also get a little bit of cinnamon, just a little bit, nothing too pronounced, and I also get a little bit of tonka bean, which kind of gives this fragrance a nutty smell with a vanillic overtone. So the first thing that you're going to be introduced to is the sweetness of the fragrance. Now when I say that, I don't want anybody to think this is going to be overly sweet, because it's not. It's also compounded with some other herbal and fougere ingredients like the lavender mainly, which is more of a secondary note in this fragrance. It doesn't come across too strong. And then there is also the note of cardamom and patchouli. Now the patchouli in this fragrance is not a very damp, rich, moist patchouli, but it's more of like an earthy and herbal patchouli. So it's a little understated and it adds a refined quality to the composition, and whereas a couple of citrus notes are they greet you in the opening, but then they're very fleeting and they seem to go away in a moment's notice. Now there's also the note of mint. I just have to say I don't get a lot of mint from this fragrance, so I believe that's done more for marketing and advertising, but the dominant notes that you get are of course the amber accord, which I think comes across rather heavy hitting. You have a tonka bean note in there as well, and you also have a little bit of cardamom, which gives it a nice spicy refined quality that's also contributed by the note of lavender. So I find that the cardamom note and the lavender note do seem to work hand in hand. Now, knowing the perfumer for this fragrance, Maurice Roussel, and being familiar with his backlog and his catalogs of fragrances, I know that he's inclined to use a note called Immortelle. Now the note of Immortelle is a type of floral, but the Immortelle essence, if you will, has a syrupy, sweet resinous smell. And I know he's used that in New Harlem. He's also used that in Rokas Man, which gives it this kind of syrupy quality. And that's definitely what I get from Hypnose Homme. I think that Hypnose Homme also has like this resinous, sticky, viscous, syrupy quality to it. What I like about that, despite all of the elements in this fragrance that give off a sweet smell, it's still not overpowering. It's still not cloying. And I think that the modesty and the humility of the sweetness in this fragrance really works to its advantage. It's not a very sweet, overbearing, cloying fragrance that people are going to be offended by, but it's one that people, I think, are going to gravitate closer to you because of the sweetness, that they're just going to want to get closer to you in proximity of you. Now, the type of person that I could imagine wearing this scent is perhaps a professional individual, say someone who is working on a project for work on his laptop, but he's been working on it all day and he's under a lot of stress. So he decides to go to a bar and he decides to wear this fragrance because it's appropriate for the bar scene, but at the same time, it's not a fragrance that's going to scream and shout, and it still has this refined professional quality to it that kind of says, I'm here to enjoy a drink, I'm here to take the edge off, but I still have business to tend to. And you may feel free to approach me when you see me close my laptop. That's the type of person I can imagine wearing this fragrance. Now, I like the fragrance, I like the composition, I love the perfumer. My only qualm about it is that it is a little bit middle of the road. And I think that there are certainly other fragrances that have done what this fragrance does a little bit better. Another one, namely, from the House of Bond No. 9, also done by the same exact perfumer, Maurice Roussel, and it's called Riverside Drive. I find the two to have a lot of comparisons. So everyone, thank you very much for watching. Last up, we have the rating. So first up, we have uniqueness and overall smell, and I gave Hypnose Homme by Lancome a 5 out of 10. Now, I think that this is a solid scent. I think that for the occasions for which this was designed, I think it does really, really well, except I find it to be a little bit middle of the road. It's kind of on the generic side, and it utilizes a lot of sweet ingredients like the cinnamon and the coumarin, which have been overdone in fragrances. So for that reason, I don't find it to be very unique, so I gave it a 5 out of 10. As far as longevity goes, also a 5 out of 10. Eau de toilette concentration, 4 to 6 hours is expected, but I think that's perfect for this scent. Once you get bored of it, it's already gone off your skin. As far as projection goes, the projection on this one is actually pretty weak, but I gave it a high score. I gave it a 9 out of 10. And because for this fragrance, I actually appreciate that it only radiates within an elbow's length. This is not the fragrance that I think I would appreciate if it were a loud projector. So even though the projection is kind of on the weak side and it only projects for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, I think that's right where it should be for this composition. Versatility on this one is a 10 out of 10. The sweetness on this one I would also like to smell on a woman. I don't think it's ultra masculine. I think in terms of age range, anybody could wear it. This would work best in all occasions and all seasons. This is a solid scent. And last up, in terms of presentation, I already told you guys what I think about that. I think the bottle is beautiful. I love displaying it and showcasing it on my shelf in my collection. I think the box is nice. The cap clicks into place. The atomizer is great, totally unique. 10 out of 10 for presentation. Overall, I'm going to give Hypnose Homme by Lancome a 7 out of 10. I think that this is a solid fragrance. I don't think it's that unique. I do find it to be kind of middle of the road, but I think that for the occasions for which it's built and designed, this one does perfectly, except I would prefer something a little bit more creative, something that pushes the envelope, something that goes beyond its boundaries a little bit, and I don't think this is the fragrance, but I do find this to be a very casual, easygoing, easy to wear, pleasing fragrance. So there you have it. That was my review of Hypnose Homme by Lancome. If you own or have tried this scent, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to rate and subscribe for future videos. So again, everyone, thank you very much for watching. This has been Steven with another fragrance review from Radolescence. We'll see you soon.